Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, Must Love Labs. My name is Alan. On this channel we talk about tips and tools for how to raise, breed, and sell Labrador Retrievers as quality family pets. So, if you're new here, you might consider subscribing. In today's video, we're going to do some dog breeding business questions and answers. You folks have been writing in on the channel and asking some questions, and I save them up a little bit. And once a week or so, we do a video and try to get to some of them. So let's get to that content. Okay, we're going to jump right in and look at some of the questions that you folks have been asking on the channel. Ruben writes in and asks, he says, I have a question. I hope you're going to respond. I've got a chocolate female. It's going to have puppies with the yellow, and he noticed that I do too. I've got my stud is Sam. He's a yellow Labrador. One of my females is a chocolate. That's Livy, and he's asking how those puppies are going to look. He's got a chocolate female as well. She's not old enough to breed, but he wants to know what kind of puppy she's going to have. So we're getting into coat color genetics here, and coat color genetics is quite a topic. There's people out there that have PhDs that barely understand it. And fortunately, Labradors, the coat color genetics are not near as complicated as some of the other breeds, like French Bulldogs. I mean, wow, huge topic right there. But with Labradors, it's relatively simple. But even then, we're still talking coat color genetics. So how are the puppies going to look? Well, I've had Sam and Livy genetically tested for their coat color genetics, so I know what all of their numbers are, and when you understand that, when you have them tested and you learn what their actual genetics are on paper, you can plug these into a chart and take a look at probabilities for what the coat colors are going to be. And the short answer to your question with my Sam and Livy, 50% would likely be brown or chocolate, and 50% would be black. It's 50-50, and these are probabilities. They could all be black. They could all be brown. But in all likelihood, they're going to be about half black and about half brown. Now, that's with my stud and my female. Okay, the genetics on your dogs might be a little bit different. You can have two yellow labs that have different coat color genetics slightly, and it matters. And whether or not there's a diluted gene in there, that comes into play, which is why you would see one with a Dudley or a liver colored nose, for instance, or some lighter colored paw pads. So that's part of the genetics as well. I would suggest that you get genetic samples on your dogs and send them in to one of the genetic research companies that can give you the printout on your coat color genetics, and that goes good for any dog really. And then you can find a chart online somewhere and plug that information in and get an idea for what the puppies are going to look like. Hope that helps. Hey folks, if you're getting value from this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help out quite a bit. And if you want to support the channel, we've got a Teespring store. I'll put a link in the description. You can stop by and check out a t-shirt or a coffee mug, and thanks in advance for doing that. I also put links in the descriptions to most of my videos for pet products and supplies that we use and approve of here at Must Love Labs. So feel free to check those out as well. Okay, moving right along on these questions. Liquid Glacial writes in, says, I have a 5-month-old mixed female GSD, and I'll be getting a Caucasian Shepherd soon. I'm confused on the choice of gender for the Caucasian. Wants to be a breeder, which would get him on the fast track to an early start, and should I get a male and then provide stud service? So a little bit of confusion on male or female. What's more rewarding selling as far as males or females and different levels of stud service? Okay, I think I see what you're getting at. I would go with the female Shepherd first. You're debating between a male or a female. The breeding business is really all about the females. there's some money to be made with stud service. You can make money with a stud, but the females make way more money than the males do. The only exception to that I'm aware of is if you have a male stud that's a show champion, okay, and people are just beating down the door trying to get you to sell stud service to them. But unless your male is going to be a show champion or have champions in the bloodline, if he's going to be a normal male stud dog, then people are probably not going to be overly demanding for your stud service. Not enough to be on par with what your females are going to make generating puppies. In most cases, there will be a better revenue stream from females that are producing quality puppies. I would go with the female shepherd. Best dog you can afford, absolutely. Get a good quality female. Down the road, you can buy another dog for a stud. Some breeders never use a resident stud. They always outsource that. They just find somebody else's stud that they like and they do business with them. You can even do it long distance and have these things shipped, and the vets can do artificial insemination if it's too far away to drive and let the dogs get together naturally. So that's the route that I would go. I would get a female for that shepherd decision, and then down the road, if you want to bring in a male, you can do that too. Hope that helps. All right, Delisha Nasanka writes in, and bear with me on these names, folks. I don't always pronounce them right, and I apologize if I got it wrong, but I'm working on it. Delisha writes in and she says, I have a question. During the period cycle, how many times do we have to do the crossing or the mating? I'm suggesting you're getting at, and have to do it. She believes you have to do it at least 2 times. She's asking, and using the same male for both times. One of her friends told him that you can use 2 different males for the crossing. Is that okay? On the same period, using 2 different male dogs on the same female. Okay, I think I understand what you're getting at. I would definitely not recommend using 2 different males. You want to stick with one. And there's a couple of good reasons for that, but if you don't stick with the same male, then you won't know who the sire of the puppies are, so there's no way you can register the litter. On this channel, we talk about breeding purebreds that you can register and get a pedigree. And so you have to stick with one male in order to make that happen. Otherwise, there's no way you can track the pedigree. And also, if there was a problem, if there was a genetic issue, if you had puppies that were coming out with something wrong with them or whatever, same thing. You wouldn't know who the dad was, so you wouldn't know who to take out of your breeding program. So all the more reason to stay with one male. But this raises an excellent topic. Let's talk about this heat cycle for just a minute. And this is going to hold true for most dogs. The first time you see blood, when they start to bleed during their heat cycle, which is about every 6 months, but the first time you see, a drop of blood on the floor or on the kennel floor, the kitchen, wherever you got your dog, that's day 1, okay? When they first start bleeding. And that blood's usually going to be real dark red. Throughout the week, and we're talking about a 7-day week here now, it's going to become lighter and lighter, almost clear. And then about 7 days after day 1, it's going to either dramatically diminish or disappear altogether. And when this is happening, the dog's progesterone levels are increasing. When they're not in heat, the progesterone level is between 0 and 1. When they get up to about 7 days and the bleeding stops, the progesterone starts to go up. About day 9, the progesterone is going to be at about a level 5 when the veterinarians do a progesterone test, which is how they start to determine when it's time to do artificial insemination, or even when it's time to do natural breeding, either way. So day 7, the bleeding stops. Around day 9, the female, her progesterone level will get to about a 5 and she'll ovulate. 2 days later, by day 11, her progesterone is through the roof. It gets up to like a 15 or so with some dogs. And this is when most veterinarians or people that just do it on their own without a vet's help will do artificial insemination, which is about day 11. If you're going to do natural breeding, where you're just getting two dogs together, the male and the female, this is a great time to put them together, about day 11 from the time you saw first blood. And like I was saying, you can get up around day 7, you can go into the vet and get a progesterone test if you want to see whether or not you're on the mark here. But about day 11 would be perfect for artificial insemination or for natural breeding, either way. Now, if you're doing natural breeding, every other day is recommended. You don't want to let your male keep going every day, because what will happen is his sperm count will get diluted. You want his sperm to be good and potent for the breeding. You get better litter numbers, you get better conception. So every other day is what's recommended. So that's the heat cycle in a nutshell. And if you stick with one male and don't bring in a second male, then you'll be able to track the pedigree and also know which dog to remove from your breeding program in case there's a problem. Hope that helps. All right, Connie Alstep writes in, and she says, this is more of a breeding question. Is it true a pregnant dog's gums will turn pink or light on day 21 of the first tie, the first time she gets hooked up during breeding? They can, absolutely, they can lighten up and turn almost white. And what this is it's actually an anemic response, which is a nice way of saying low blood amount. It's an anemic response to blood building up someplace else in their body, which would be their uterus for the development of fetuses. So it's definitely one of the ways that people can tell if their dogs are pregnant, because their bodies just naturally send all the blood that way for a little while to help out what's going on down in the uterus. And the visible outward sign of that would be the whitening of the gums. So yes, that can definitely happen. You can also see, and this is about, like you said, day 21, about 3 weeks in, so that's about right. And the nipples will start to swell and turn pink. You can see some behavioral changes in your dog. Activity level will drop off, start becoming a finicky eater. You might even see some morning sickness. All of these things are signs that she's pregnant. And obviously, if you want to have it verified, you can take her into the vet for a pretty simple blood test, and they'll tell you right away. Excellent question. Land Rover Defender writes in. He says, would you say to stick to one dog breed? Yes, I would. I would stick to one dog breed. You start dealing with different breeds, things get complicated, especially if you're just starting out. Sticking with one breed is a great idea. Get really good at doing one breed. And then later, if you want to branch out a little bit into different things, that's fine. But I would recommend that you stick with one breed. And to take that further, I would recommend that you breed purebreds, registerable dogs with trackable pedigrees. That's just a great way to get started. And it's a good way to go. When you start getting into multiple breeds, now you got to keep them all separated that way too, and that can get interesting. We certainly don't want any mutts accidentally, so having just one breed in the breeding program would certainly help with that. Great question. Hope that helps. Okay, Chuck Terra writes in. Says, can you make a video of that metal building set up for pups? And thanks for the great videos. Yes, I can. I'm going to be doing a video here very soon on my setup. A few people have been asking, and I'm okay with showing everybody, what we've got going on. You get some good ideas from it. If you watch my my puppy update videos, like the 9-week puppy update video, for instance, there's actually some pretty good footage of that setup out there already. And definitely check that out. But I am going to be doing a video here real soon, specifically take you on a little tour out there at my kennel, show everybody what's going on. Great question, and thanks for asking about that. You're not the only one, so I'm going to have to get off my duff and go make that video, right? Well, that wraps up our 4th dog breeding business Q&A video. I sure do appreciate you folks writing in your questions. Keep them coming. If there's things that you want to talk about, something you'd like to see me do a video about, or just questions that you have, drop comments in the comments section and let me know. I really do try to read them all. And you definitely want to go ahead and hit that like button on the video. Subscribe to my channel. We will be doing more videos on this topic and others. And thanks for watching Must Love Labs. We'll see you in the next video.